have a maintenance crew? And does this maintenance crew know how to identify a rusty door with holes in it? And does this maintenance crew know how to scrape off rust and put a rust primer on and then paint it?
So
do we have a maintenance crew?
Because that's not what tonight's purpose of the meeting is. With
Well,
all
it
due
is,
respect,
because we're going to be spending a lot of money on bad maintenance. But who's in charge of looking at a door and saying, if I have a door at my house that looks like that, I'd have painted it when it started. What happened here?
well, I don't want to look back, but let's look forward. The comments come up a couple times tonight. We have a modest maintenance staff.
Thanks to Mr. Gilger, the board swiftly hired a $20 an hour maintenance person to address some of the projects that they plan to spend $12 million on.
Hi, my name is Steve Gilger. I've heard they're going to do another $12 million capital bond. And my first question is, what is our present debt load in the bank system right now? Well, it's about $12 million. Now, if you had a credit card and you had $10,000 on it, how much credit interest would you be paying every month on that credit card? This is going to be another big bond, and they'll say that the state is going to pay half of it. The problem is, where does the state get its money? Oh, from you guys. It's another tax.
Earlier comment was that it's $0 to the taxpayers of Chatham. That's New York State building aid coming from SED. It is one pocket or the other, but we can take advantage of at least half the reimbursement from the state.
And it's not tax-free to us because we're spending $5.4 million of reserves, but we had invested those reserves to keep our capital buildings up to standard.
So yes.
As in regards to this reserve fund, I remember 2 years ago the New York State Attorney General did an audit on this district and said that $2.9 million were illegally taken from the taxpayers. And I called them and they said that no money has ever been returned from the school district to the taxpayers. And now you're saying you're going to spend the money that you're supposed to give back to the taxpayers.
So the only thing I will say is that we responded to the controller's audit. We met all of their criteria for an action plan. The Finance Committee has done an amazing job prior to my arrival, and since then, in following the targets that were suggested in that plan, we authorized the establishment of 3 capital projects through a public vote, which were favorably approved by the voters. And again, we can't spend that money until you give us the authority to do so, which will be done at the same time that you're voting on the proposition, and I see no other explanation of where any impropriety has been done here, and I take exception to that question.
Do you expect there to be any issues of privacy concerns from parents or students in relation to having security cameras installed?
So we don't provide any expectation of privacy when students are in school. What we find is parents generally embrace them because they're an added sense of protection.
Has anybody seen or read the book 1984? Has anyone read that? Do you like the outcome? This is where you're heading. Big brother.
Move along.
And I want to know who came up with the idea to put these cameras in our schools. Did you guys come up with it, or did somebody up much higher?
Yes, sir.
Are these cameras, referring back to her, are these military-grade facial recognition cameras that are keyed into the Wi-Fi system, into the national computer database system in Arizona?
So these cameras do have the capability of facial recognition. They do have the sophistication to identify an individual, both, I believe, facially and other defining aspects, and allow you to search video based on that criteria.
So this is a $1.1 million system that the taxpayers are being asked to foot. 1.1
hearsay.
million, and the loss of privacy, and our school becomes a prison-like atmosphere that it's almost already become anyway.
If your glass is half empty, mine's half full, it becomes a safer environment for our students. So.
Well, had a situation in my previous district. There was a little bit of an altercation. Student tossed a book at another student, hit an LCD monitor, took out a brand new $1,200 monitor. Kid said, "I didn't do it." Played back the footage for the parent. Now what's the question?
The superintendent's best scenario was a $1,200 return on a $1.2 million investment. That is a 1/1000th cost return.
How many students do we have in high school? We have 340 cameras running around the building right now.
Right now, we have 300. Does the public know this?
No, I'm talking about the cell phones that every student maintains on their waist.
So we don't need any additional cameras because we have 340 cell
I'm
phones.
sorry, I didn't mean to get in that.
What they want to spend it on? Surveillance cameras to watch you and your children. They've already installed prison-like electronic door locks, just like a prison. You could use this as a prison. Matter of fact, when we retire this building, let's use it as a prison. It's already set up. This is not how I want my child to live, in a prison with surveillance cameras. It's bad enough, Common Core.